This was the part where then they get the footage from the loading dock, where here come the middle-aged Bucks with their right-wing birther nut parents, Mama Buck and Papa Buck. Old man Buck is both balding and pie-faced, so at least we don't. I was going to say we might have suspected the milkman, but they're religious, so that wouldn't happen. Now, you can tell old man Buck is responsible for both of these sperm dollops.
You know, everyone knows that Steven Seagal is like a bit of a shady character, but the Young Buck's father looks like young Steven Seagal, but skeevy.
Yes, with the ponytail, and he's like a 65-year-old right-wing hippie. It just doesn't matter. The picture doesn't match.
What a wardrobe the last 2 weeks that this weirdo has on this show.
And he's a public figure, folks. He's on TV. He's about to get juice.
Every time I see him, it explains so much about why the Bucks are the Bucks.
Yeah.
It really does. And he didn't get juice, but we'll get there.
Well, we'll get to that. But he wanted to.
He got catsup. He didn't get juice.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so they walk into the loading dock and they stopped by the truck, the AEW ring truck that has the Bucks picture on it, to take a picture with their parents and their picture on the truck. And it's just, love is in the air. The next match was exceptional. Jake Hager versus Brandon Cutlet. We've mentioned Brandon Cutlet, of course, is a childhood friend of the middle-aged Bucks from Rancho Cucamonga. And so he gets a big entrance and gets a goofy outfit with face paint to wear. It's the biggest entrance ever for a winless job guy, but he's friends of the Republibucks, so he gets that. And I started to take notes on this, and I said, you know what? Nobody even wants to hear me make fun of this. Cutlet's rotten. His buddies got him a job. Hager beat him up. And I just sat down and waited for the finish. Suddenly, Cutlet made a comeback and hit not one but two dives out of the ring in succession on poor Jake Hager. The second one almost killed both of them and/or almost broke Hager's leg. And they've made Hager completely meaningless because there's another guy that the Big Show could work with. But he's Hager with that monotone face and that goofy, slope-faced fucking demeanor that he's got. And he's just a big, awkward putz, and he's been booked into oblivion, and he's been bumping for midgets for months. So people might buy him against Big Show for 30 seconds. Of course, yes, he is a real MMA fighter, but you would never know that by the way he's presented. And of course, you know, and it's not like he's Matt Riddle or anything, like he's the toughest guy on 2 feet. He's the baddest man in the world, Matt Riddle. So anyway, so they can't figure out a squash match. And finally, Hager beat him, but not without a lot more effort than it should have been. I didn't see anything else of it.
That's every squash match, though. I mean, it's very rare. Kenny Omega beating Sonny Kiss, I could think of off the top of my head. It's very rare that someone who should lose quickly loses quickly in AEW.
Ryan Nemeth.
Ryan Nemeth, even that wasn't that quick. That wasn't as quick.
Well, it was quick compared to normal. Anyway, after this, so Jake Hager has just beat a job guy, probably the lowest talent on the totem pole that we've never seen even win on television and barely seen lose on television. So, of course, Santana and Ortiz and Wardlow have to come in and start getting heat on him after he's already got beat. And the only reason this is done is just to set up a save when you're obviously doing shit that has no place otherwise than just to set up what's going to happen next. Lazy booking. So they got weak, lackluster heat on him where nobody actually even looks like they know how to stomp or kick, and they weren't following through with shit. Of course, the Bucks immediately come out and throw their shitty super kicks. They can't just grab people and punch them or pull them off of somebody. They have to do intricate ducks and dodges so they can throw their super kicks. Remind me, if anybody's ever beaten my ass, not to call the Bucks for help. Well, I wouldn't do that anyway. I'd call somebody who could actually whip somebody. But I especially if they were my friends, I'd want them to come and help rather than waiting for an opening for a super kick. But as soon as they do that, of course, the heels powder, and then Pieface gets the microphone and cuts a promo like he's a badass and challenges Jericho and MJF to come on out right now. So they play Jericho's music, and then you know what happens. The screen pops up, and on the screen, Jericho and MJF have kidnapped Papa Pieface, and he is on his knees selling like he's in a trance, like that someone has starched his entire outfit of clothing and nothing will move except his head kind of back. And he's got fake blood, obviously fake blood, smeared all over his face. And he's got some in his hands, so when they throw him into the truck, he can mark the right places for the dramatic picture they're wanting to get.
There was a lot in his hands.
A lot in his hand. Yeah, because he had to mark up 2 pictures on the truck. And what the amateurs behind this fiasco were going for is that, yes, it would be a dramatic scene if vicious heels had somehow accosted the Babyface's father and bloodied him up and fucking rammed him into the truck with the pictures of his sons on it so his blood was all, oh, that's great. Except it's the 4th fucking kidnapping in a week and a half. It's obviously fake blood. The guy's selling like a goddamn mannequin, where suddenly being hurt and bloodied makes you immobile and frigid and stiff and freezing. But leaning back like, you know, you're on the cross. And they've done some shit with this guy and his kids that are completely unbelievable, that nobody gives a shit about on a personal basis because everybody knows this is phony and they just want to watch the trained chimpanzees do tricks. So it would have been good except for all of those reasons. So they run him, and when they run him into the truck, since he obviously can't work, he goes into the truck and then he puts his hands up where the blood's supposed to be smeared and then slowly drops down the back of the truck. And the Bucks run to save him, but they're jogging. Someone is literally beating your father bloody, and you're going to help him, and you're jogging? And they run in too late. And Tony Schiavone put the fucking perfect period on this sentence. His quote was, "It's a horrible scene." It sure was. It was a horrible scene when they did the same angle in segment 2. It's a horrible scene.
Where was the mom? We saw her come in with the dad at the start of the show.
She's been kidnapped.
They kidnapped her too. Okay.
They're going to be having their way with her somewhere over in a cabin somewhere in the woods out Alligator Alley there.
Why was the Buck that tries to be the tough guy on the mic, why was he so mad challenging Jericho and MJF? Last week, they got punked by his dad. Last week, the dad pushed Jericho.
Oh, well, the Bucks were mad because they had just been, the Inner Circle had just been beating up their childhood friend, Brandon Cutlet.
But not Jericho and MJF?
No, because they were in the back waiting to come up on screen so they could sodomize the Bucks' father.
Look, the Bucks' father was ridiculous in every way. His acting.
Every way.
The fake blood. It's the fakest blood I've ever seen in wrestling. Just all over his face and his hands. I mean, it made no sense.
And I got something to say that will make you, and I didn't think this was possible, but this will make you like this whole deal, this whole segment even less when I tell you what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay.
They made a point of letting people know on the internet. I don't remember whether it was Schiavone, I don't remember whether somebody, but whatever, in one of their celebratory circle jerk sessions where they all get on the internet and talk about how great the performances were that they did. The Bucks' father really wanted to blade and get juice, but they wouldn't let him, to show what kind of a tough guy and a trooper that old withered senior citizen right-wing religious nut birther fanatic fucking ex-hippie Papa Buck. He wanted to get juice the right way, but we wouldn't let him. Well, why didn't you? Maybe one thing on your fucking show wouldn't look as phony as a football bat, you two twinks.
Give me a break.
What's the matter? You can't let your fucking dad get a little juice for the business? I despise fake blood. The only time that I've ever used fake blood in my life, myself, or in any of my fucking angles was when you need to bleed from the mouth and I didn't have a fucking syringe to draw my own blood or somebody else's and put it in a fucking rubber and put it in their mouth so they could bite down on it. Otherwise, if you can't, it's like a low-fat Twinkie. If you can't eat the fat, don't eat the Twinkie. If you're going to have blood and it can't be real blood, don't have blood. Fucking lunatics. That's what everybody used to say. The blood in wrestling's fake when it wasn't. Now it is. I am disgusted by that.
Who was it, the famous story where someone said, I know it's all fake, and I know the blood is fake, and the wrestler said, well, actually what we do is we take a razor blade and we...
Jarrett. I'll tell you, the Wendy's on Summer Avenue. Jarrett and Bill Dundee come in Friday night from Tupelo or whatever, and it's midnight, and the guy's closing, and he sees who they are, and he says, I'll let you guys eat while we're cleaning up. And they're eating. They're the only ones in the place, and the manager comes over and sits down, and this was 1979, 80, 81, whatever. Says, guys, you guys can tell me that that blood, when y'all bleed on TV and everything, so I watch the show all the time. That's not real blood, is it? Jarrett looked at him. He said, actually, it is. What we do is we take a razor blade. We buy at 7-Eleven. We take a pair of scissors. We cut a piece of it off. It's nice and sharp. We tape it up. We either put it in our mouth or right down in our crotch. When we need it, we pull it out, we cut the shit out of ourselves with it, and then we stick it back in our mouth or our crotch. And the guy said, all right, if you didn't want to tell me, you could just fucking told me that. Fuck it, never mind. He walked off. Anyway.
One other thing about this segment, I can't criticize, of all the things to criticize here, and there's so much because it was ridiculous. And we didn't even get to the ambulance yet.
I was about to say, that's the first time ever in the history of wrestling a 65-year-old right-wing hippie has been loaded into an ambulance.
By the way, he goes into the ambulance. Who joins him? His son, Nick, the Good Brothers, and that's it. No wife. And the other buck stays there because why? Why?
There was no more room.
Why didn't he go instead of Gallows and Anderson? It made no sense.
Oh, because they're trying to sucker the Bucks into believing in them, too. That they're their friends.
And where's the
blah.
mom? Is she on the zip line? Where's the mom? She just vanished. I wanted to say, of all the things you can criticize, I don't think MJF or Jericho really did too much wrong here. It's not their fault that this was so silly. They did okay as heels doing a promo after beating them up, except for the very end, where all of a sudden they were frightened. Oh, come on, let's go, let's run. At the last second.
Yeah.
That I hated. I hated that. The chicken shit runoff from those two. That was, they hammed it up and I didn't like it, but what
a chicken shit runoff because look who was coming.
Two chicken shits. Bucks. Yeah, the chicken shits.
Yeah.
The heels were the chicken shits. They were running from the chicken shits.
All right. Well, the big package came up next. We gotta keep this moving. This fucking show is taking forever.